What it is, going on, guys, and welcome back to another podcast. It is podcast numero 3. I don't know what language that is, but it's probably not English. Welcome to podcast 3. Now, today, usually at this point, we tell you the sort of topics that we're going to be doing. Well, we can't do that today because we haven't really got that many. We've got small topics. We haven't really got a big topic. So we're just going to wing it and see where the podcast takes us in regards to if we think of a topic in the middle of the podcast, if you get what I'm saying. Of course, I'm joined with the co-host.
Hi, how's everybody doing?
So yeah, if you are enjoying this podcast, don't forget to drop a like and comment in the comments below. And we have got, as I say, our segment that we always do, which we're going to move on to now, which is the comments review, the section where we review last week's comments. And it might be a long one, folks, because I got one comment on my video.
Okay, so I got a couple of comments on my video, 2 to be exact.
Jesus, watch out, Lyle.
I know, blimmin' hell. One comes in from actually my cousin, who's Callum Brooks. He says, any other podcast, I'm enjoying these, keep them up. And I thought he was joking because, you know, cousin, we normally take the piss out of each other. So my response were, are you actually, or are you just taking the piss? And then he responds with, no, it's something different. I rate it for that. So thank you very much for the really nice comment.
We appreciate that.
We appreciate that very much. We are going to be continuing the comments. And my other comment comes in from Nickel, very loyal viewer. Thanks very much for sticking with us in these podcast episodes. He says, it's cool, but add a face cam. I enjoy it, but needs a face cam or something like that. No.
Yeah, something to, you know, stimulate on the screen the whole time, if you know what I mean. I do get that point. Obviously, we do put stuff on the screen, or you put stuff on the screen.
I try, yeah.
I don't know, the face, what is it? I was going to call it face
cam.
Podcast. Face cam, that's it. It would be a difficult one, isn't it? I think it's my internet's shit. I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll give it a test some point this week, and we'll just sort of see. And see whether it's because we don't want it. You know, we spoke about this briefly before. We don't want it poor quality and it to ruin the podcast. So we'll give it a little bit of a. Oh my god, it's a fly! Jesus Christ, I thought it was a fucking spider. Holy shit! Whew, give me a second. Jesus Christ, Lyle, please talk. I need a drink.
So yeah, what I was saying is, I totally understand where you're coming from. The podcasts that I watch on YouTube always have face cams, and you might be wondering, like, why ours doesn't. Maybe that draws away from the enjoyment factor of it, but we obviously don't have the funds to get the amazing cameras and webcams, because I've got a webcam, and if you've ever watched them on my live streams, it's not the best, you know, and if I was to add face cam, I'd want it to look good.
The only thing we could do is, thinking about it, is we could have, like we do now, like a little background thing, and then kind of 2 sort of little squares. They wouldn't need to be that big. We wouldn't want them too big, because if it got too big, it would just look really shit. As I say, we'll give it a test. That's all we can really do. If it's going to be shit, we don't want to do it. I have got a camera. It's not the greatest camera, but it's a decent camera. Does do 1080p. How we'd go about sending the videos to each other, I don't know. That's another problem. But we'll look into it, folks, and just sort of see what we can do. We won't make any promises, but we'll test it next week at some point, or this week at some point, and we'll let you know in the next podcast, you know, where we're at on that front. As we say, front. And this fly is pissing me off because it is just everywhere. Honest to God, thought it was a spider. Fuck me, nearly had a heart attack. Anyway, so on to my comment. Oh no, there's comments. I forgot there's 2 comments. My apologies. But let's get on to KWE's, which is kind of a comment for both of us, isn't it?
Yeah.
Another ridiculously long comment, and I mean that in a really nice way. Love reading the comments that you send on the videos. And there's a couple of points that me and Lyle both want to sort of bring up from the comment. I think when somebody takes as long as he does to comment on the video, it is our duty, our duty to respond at least to, you know, at least some of what he says. Not all, because that's impossible to respond, and we'd just be rehashing the same podcast as last week, which we did before. My genius idea the other year when in the last podcast, Operation Fuck Off, I decided on the second episode to read all the comments and to spend the whole podcast reading and going through the comments about the first podcast, which basically meant we basically repeated the second podcast. It was a disaster. And about halfway through, after about 50 minutes, I think it was Harry who said, Cameron, this is pretty shit. should we just move on? And I said, yeah. And that was a terrible mistake. But I think we're doing it a lot better this way, going through it, bringing out the key points and sort of not rehashing everything, if you know what I mean. I think we're doing it right. But anyway, is there a point you want to bring out, Lyle, other than to say thanks again for an incredible comment?
Now, there is one that he did bring up, and I believe it was like, because we always go on about subscribers and views and all of this stuff, and he says about pretty much just enjoying the content that you're making. Yeah. And for me, at this point in YouTube, that's something that I find very difficult, because I can, about for both of us, we've had points in our channel's history where our channel has been in good standing. We've had good views, good likes, good comments. Now, from going from that to where we are now, we're not being ungrateful, but it's just a very big switch down.
Ungrateful.
Yeah.
And we do appreciate every single comment. Don't get me wrong, and it's the one thing me and Lyle look for. Lyle messages me every time KWE comments. He did it for the first one, he did it for the second. Cameron, have you seen KWE's awesome comment? And I say, yeah, I'm just currently reading it. We do really seriously appreciate the big comments, the small comments as well. Don't get me wrong, we appreciate your little small comments, your tips, your advice, like your cousin's little comment.
Yeah.
We appreciate all of it, and the interaction. We appreciate it all, and we don't want to come across as ungrateful. This fly is seriously causing me some problems. But yeah, it is difficult, like you say, because and I'm not enjoying it either. And we'll touch on that a little bit more in a minute when I talk about my little meltdown I had midweek. I'm not enjoying the content anymore, and I made 2 vows when I started YouTube. I said, and they kind of contradict each other, so it doesn't, but my life contradicts itself. So I said if I'm still enjoying videos, I'll upload them. And I also said if there's one person watching, one person liking, one person commenting, I will still upload the videos. So I kind of realised I contradict myself in many respects, but you see what I'm saying there. And one of those vows at the moment, I'm not enjoying YouTube anymore. I don't know why. I don't know whether it's because it's the end of FIFA and this time's always boring anyway, but even with FIFA, I mean, you're quite excited for the next FIFA. Like, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not excited in the slightest. It's the first FIFA I'm not remotely excited for. The only thing I'm kind of excited for is doing a Chelsea career mode, and when I think about the fact that will probably get 20 views, that kind of depresses me again. And I think what's frustrating for us both, like you say, is our channels have been, and I can only really speak for mine, but I know yours has been, and you can speak better for yourself. But there was a point where Chelsea Career, I think it was FIFA 15, I might be wrong, it could have been FIFA 14.
Something like that, yeah.
Where, my career modes were getting 250 views every sort of video, and it weren't at the start of FIFA, this was middle of the way through FIFA, and I was getting 20, 30 comments a video, and I was responding to them all. There were a variety, there were sort of complex comments, tips and stuff, transfer suggestions, in-depth things, quoting something I'd said in the video, laughing, just the great video comments, a variety of comments, and I friggin' love life. And then I fucked it up, and it's my fault because I stopped uploading regularly. So I had it there, and people say you can't miss something you don't have. I disagree with that, but let's just pretend that that's true for the sake of this thing. I had it, and I lost it, and that's pissed me off even more, because I know I had the potential there to really take this channel to the next level, and I didn't, and I fucked it up, and now the channel is frankly dead. And when you've got 6,500 subscribers and your video is getting 40 views, it is depressing, and I'm sorry, and I can't not be depressed about that. Do you know what I mean? I can't, and I am so thankful for the loyal subscribers, and you become even more important, and we're even more thankful for you because how few of you there are. But I can't help but get depressed about it, especially the amount of hours that I've put into this channel. I've dedicated years of my life to this, and to just see it kind of dead is a little bit depressing.
I 100% know where you're coming from. Like, even the first episode of the podcast, we can go back literally only a couple of weeks. I spent the whole day editing that podcast, and it did okay, but I'd say for me, the biggest, I'm going to literally go straight to it. The biggest thing for me is the comments and the subs. Now, the obviously the comments dropping off, you know, you want to go onto your video, you want to see loads of comments, and you want to just respond to them. I would honestly love to spend the whole day just responding to as many comments as I possibly could. But when they're not there, you sort of don't really know if you're doing anything wrong. And then I used to do is just start stopping series. Series.
Jesus Christ.
I used to be terrible at doing that because I didn't know if people enjoyed it or not.
Yeah.
And going off of the subs bit, as I mentioned, it's how you either... The worst thing is just... You mentioned this in one of your tweets. You said, I legit haven't grown in 6 months. It's beyond a joke. For a 6.5k sub channel, my views are embarrassing. Nothing short of embarrassing. Now, it's not losing or gaining them. It's being stuck on exactly the same... Like, you go 6,503... then you'll go down just below 6,500. It's just the worst feeling because you don't know how to get out of the massive pothole or just hole that you're in.
Yeah, I'm in a hole and it's so deep. There's no ladder and it's just impossible to climb out. It is like that. And although at times I enjoy my time in the hole, most of the time it's pretty fucking shit. And we'll get onto my meltdown in a minute. Again. I really like the way KWE looks at it. I keep calling you KWE because I don't know that you want me to call you your real name on the video, so just let me know in the comments whether you're okay with me and Lyle calling you your proper name.
Yeah.
I like the way you look at it, and I wish I could look at it that way. And don't get me wrong, I do look at it in some respects that way, but at the same time, I struggle, if you know what I mean. It's difficult. It really is a difficult one. He mentioned later on in the comments about the WoW podcast, Wrestling at Home. We are definitely going to do that. We're going to start organising that after this video. Whether it will be the next podcast, whether it will be its own podcast, if you know what I mean, I don't know. We're going to try and get people involved. That Harry will definitely be there. You'll definitely be there, Lyle. I'll definitely be there. We'll try and get a couple of others who feature. Don't know whether we will because we don't know whether they'll want to. But yeah, we'll talk memories, funny moments, bad moments, how it all sort of worked, and yeah, it's going to be a good. It could be a long one. I think that could run into 2-3 hours. I think. I don't know about you, Love, but I think that one could run long.
Definitely, yeah.
But we've wanted to do it for quite a long time, and yeah, the fact that KW especially wanted to see it, and he was one of our massive long fans. We might even upload that one on this channel and your channel, obviously, if you want, and probably on the Wrestling at Home channel as well.
Yeah, give it a good old, revisit an old glory, if you like.
Yeah. Is there anything else we want to bring about the comment that he put? Again, it was a great comment. The cinema thing, I'd love WrestleMania to be shown at the cinema.
Would be so good.
Because when we went and watched Dunkirk midweek, and that's a topic we'll be talking about a little bit later on. Me and Lyle went into the cinema with someone else as well, and we were fucking late. I'd fucked up times, typical me. And we went in, and I've never seen so many people in the cinema in all my life. It was just packed to the fucking brink. And I think it was you who said, Lyle, can you just imagine watching WrestleMania here? It would be fucking incredible.
All of us, however many you could fit into a cinema, let's just say 100 in one cinema screen, all die-hard WWE fans. It doesn't even matter if the bloke next to you, you don't even know who he is. You're there, you literally have the time of your life.
That's the great thing about WWE. It brings people together. It doesn't matter who you are, what you just all come together. And it's just like, we are like a little cult, but a good cult. If you can get good cults, I suppose you can. But yeah, no, I think it would just be great. Imagine the chanting. It would be like being there, but not being there. Incredible. Anyway, we won't talk too much more about the comments. I think we've basically brought up what we wanted to. There was another point I wanted to make, but to be honest with you, I've forgotten what it was. So apologies. But yeah, I think that's it for the comments. Oh no, there was one other comment on my video that I have to reference from a guy called Mohammed, a guy that I think has some sort of, I don't know, bipolar or something. This is the same guy who literally, just before we started the podcast, folks, messaged me talking about Liverpool after blocking me on Twitter for God knows what. This is a guy who's told me to kill myself. He's told you to kill yourself, isn't he, Lyle? Mm-hmm. What else did he just say? Let's just read out the classic. Fuck off and get hit by a train. Your mum likes dick. This is the type of guy we're dealing with. So I won't even be referencing his comment because the guy is a see you next Tuesday. and I think he's a cunt. I just said see that she's actually just said the word, so I kind of just completely ruined my point. But you know what I mean? I'm not referencing him. If he comments on the things, we aren't referencing him. The guy needs some serious fucking help. And luckily, I'm the sort of person that can laugh at that type of shit. You know, and he's like, oh, you know, I'm not, you know, he's
Don't give him the time of day, Cam.
No, I'm not. You know, he's just, we're not going to give him the time of day. I don't even want to reference the twat. And if I ever saw him, we'd have fun. Moving on. That's it for the comments review this episode, this day. I meant to say day and then episode. I got it mixed up. We'll now move on to the next topic.
Sunday, the 30th of July. At Mr. FIFA Cam tweets, honestly considering quitting YouTube. Really feel it's a waste of time and something that isn't going anywhere. I'll end up not quitting and carrying on as I've been considering quitting for over a year. It's really shit at the moment. I don't enjoy it in the slightest. Every video feels like a chore, and the ones that don't end up doing absolutely wank, I legit haven't grown in 6 months. It's beyond a joke. For a 6,500 subscriber channel, my views are nothing short of embarrassing. Interaction is super shit too. I don't want to quit, as YouTube has been a massive part of my life for like 7 years, but it's really going nowhere. I've tried everything, and although sometimes things might look up after a few weeks, it's back to the same old shit again. I put a lot of time into YouTube. Maybe it's time to reinvest that time elsewhere. At Holman99 tweets, perhaps putting effort into one big project for YouTube is what is needed. Cameron replies with, you may be correct. At MaxLane1234 tweets, I personally really enjoy every one of your videos, mate, but if you feel as if you're not enjoying it, do what you think is best. Cameron replies, thanks, mate, I really appreciate that. Nice to know that I'm still someone who enjoy the videos. I think I need to give YouTube one last push. At Stephen_Perry03 tweets, I really like your videos though. Unhappy face. Cameron replies, thanks. At KWE Tribute says, that would be a loss for everyone, including you. At Lewis_plays16, I enjoy your videos. Shame others don't recognise your channel. Cameron responds, thanks, mate. At Mickey576 says, I also think your channel is quality, man. Don't quit. Cameron says, appreciate it. Now it's time for Cameron to respond.
Oh dear, I did think that was hilarious. So thanks, Lara, for doing it that way. We are kind of taking the piss out of my meltdown, but it was a serious one. I was seriously considering quitting YouTube. I did write a response on Twitter, and I'll read it out. I put, after sleeping on it and waking up to the messages from a few of you, I've decided to give YouTube one last big push. How many times have I fucking said that? I think I've at least got to give it till Christmas. With the new football season of FIFA coming out, I can then reassess at Christmas. Thank you for all the tweets and messages. I really appreciate it, and you've all convinced me to give it one last shot. I'm going to just try and enjoy YouTube up until Christmas. Going to try and do a few more collabs and get others involved on the channel. So if you know anyone who may be interested, or yourself want to get involved in the channel, whether it be FIFA video, football video, whatever, let me know. I'm open to suggestions. May even start another channel for something a little different. Thanks again for all the messages and tweets last night. So, I'll echo that again. I genuinely thank everybody who tweeted and messaged the other day. I was having a bit of a meltdown. I was genuinely considering it. And I stand by everything I said. But I also stand by my response. I'm giving it till Christmas. I'm giving it one last push. And we'll reassess at Christmas. Because it is difficult. And when you're not enjoying it, and you are putting so much time into it, you do have to kind of reassess your options. But I do just want to say thank you so much, as I said, for the support from everyone. Especially the time I tweeted and the response I got was really incredible. And to know that there are still some people who enjoy the videos, I'm so thankful. As I say, to everybody who responded to that comment, really friggin' appreciate it. We spoke a little bit about it in the comments review. But I'm going to give it to YouTube. I'm going to give it to YouTube. I'm going to give it till Christmas, see where I'm at Christmas, and go from there. But yeah, that is it for that little segment. We kind of try to make it as comical as anything. But as I say, it was serious. It wasn't an attention-seeking manoeuvre. It was serious. I was genuinely considering it. And at one point, I haven't even told you this yet, Lyle, I had all of my videos on the Mr. FIFA Cam channel. Well, not all of them, but I had the first page selected, ready to delete them.
Oh, bloody hell.
I just stopped myself, and I'm so glad I did. And I would not delete videos off this channel. It's not going to happen. So I was so glad I fucking stopped myself, because I'd have kicked myself if I'd have done it. But again, for the 5th fucking time in the space of a minute, thank you for all the support. And yeah, let's give it till Christmas and see where we're at Christmas.
So now we go on to the film that me and Cam did watch last week. I believe it was Tuesday. Me and Cam literally just finished recording the podcast. And then we went and saw Dunkirk, which was an amazing film. I would probably give it my rating 9 out of 10, I'd say. It was very realistic. I didn't think it would be as realistic. I thought maybe they would brush over some of the stuff, or some of the, the hardcore stuff that did happen. But I think they basically hit the nail on the head about what Dunkirk was and everything like that. The cinematics and how they did the stuff in the air, and there were a lot of jump scares in that film as well, even if it was like really silent or something like that, and then just gunshot, and because of how loud it is in cinemas, it does get you, and I think that made the film as well, just the little details of sort of immersed you and made it so that you were almost there, which I think that's probably what they were going for, and I think they succeeded pretty much.
We got with it as close a feeling as we could have got to just how they would have felt in the war. I mean, by no means anywhere near to how they felt, but about as close as we could physically get to just how horrific, horrifying and scary it would have been. And, think about how, horrific and horrible it was to watch it sometimes as a viewer is not even a quarter of how it felt, that they were there. And it felt real. I felt a connection to it. It was scary, incredible, all at the same time. The sound effects were incredible, and we didn't even watch it in IMAX. I don't even know what it would have been like in IMAX. It would have just been incredible. I did tweet just after watching it, so I'll just read out my fucking tweet. It's been like a reading out tweet session here today. I put, just watched Dunkirk, and I've never been prouder to be British. We are an incredible country. Got a bit patriotic there. Then I responded, heart-wrenching, fucking hell, start again. Heart-wrenching, inspiring, and powerful. The strength and heart-wrenching, heart-wrenching, inspiring, and powerful. The strength and bravery soldiers showed is inexpressible. The British spirit is unbreakable. # Dunkirk. But what an incredible film. It really was. But see, the thing is, I struggle to know how to describe it, because it was such an experience, and I enjoyed it, but I hated it at the same time. Do you know what I mean? It was, but I wanted to hate it, if you know what I mean, because it was so really hard to watch. Yeah. I thought Harry Styles was incredible in it. Like, I thought he was what an incredible actor. Like, obviously he was given the job and he got a bit of criticism. Why give it to, a pop star type? He was incredible. He looked like, I read a review and somebody said, and I think this line is perfect. They said, if it was, fuck. They said, they said if it wasn't Harry Styles, you would be saying this is the next big actor, up-and-coming actor. It was that good. And you were right with the jump scares. It was like a horror film, because that was quite simply what the war was like. A horror film. And it was scary. It was fucking... My heart was going at moments. It was simply incredible. If you haven't watched it, you've got to go watch the friggin' film. Even if you're not British. But if you are British, you've got to watch it. And when people bash our country, I would just ask them to watch this. And I know Dunkirk wasn't a massive success in the grand scheme, but it was a success because we managed to evacuate people that we just assumed were all pretty much going to die. The majority were not going to get out. So it was a miracle. And I stand by the fact that the British spirit is simply unbreakable. What an incredible friggin' film. And young people need to get off their fat fucking asses, stop, being on Snapchat all day and all this type of shit, and actually go and watch that film, experience it, and get a feel for the real world and just how proud you should be of those that fought in World War II, those that fought in World War I, and those who fight for our country, because everything we do on a daily basis that we take for granted is because of these folks. They are heroes. They should be regarded as heroes. And why are young people not got heroes like a soldier? You know, your heroes are those who fought in World War One, World War Two. Instead, our heroes are people like Cheryl fucking Cole, who changes her name every other week. You know, it really is disgusting. They are not heroes. They are fucking idiots. No, let me start that point again. They are not heroes. The heroes are those that have fought and died, sacrificed for this country. An incredible film. I just came out, as I say, proud of the country, proud of the sacrifices people have made. I felt so patriotic. I said that to you when we walked out the cinema. I said I just feel so patriotic. It just truly was an incredible film. I think one of the best films of the year, without a shadow of doubt, and one of the best films I've seen. I don't think everyone will like it because it is hard to watch. You know, that's the point we can't really get away from. It's hard to watch. Don't take a 7-year-old to go watch it, but it was
it was 12A, so
it was really good. And I like, you know, history and films about history. And there's a Churchill film coming out that I've got to go watch. We're not going to give you too many spoilers, but at the end of the day, Dunkirk was a real historical event. So if you know anything about history, you already kind of know what happened. But I thought there's some really good characters in there. A decent story. You know, the story was very good as well and very engaging. Obviously, it was real life. And the way they linked it. And the ending was fantastic. With Winston Churchill's speech. What a fucking perfect way to end the film. And I was sitting there with about 15, 20 minutes left to go in the film. I didn't know that's how long was left in the film, but I knew we were round enough coming towards the end. And I thought, I wonder how they're going to end this. And I wonder whether they can end this film with the ending it kind of deserves. And it was a textbook, perfect fucking ending, if ever there was one. And I cannot stress to you enough, if you have not seen this film, get out and watch the goddamn film. It will be the greatest fucking £7, £8, £10 you spend your whole entire life. And if you can watch it in IMAX, watch it in IMAX, because I mean, we didn't, but I'm sure it would be absolutely friggin' incredible. Anything else you want to say, Lyle?
The one thing that I'd like to say is how, even though they focus quite a lot on the soldiers, the whole film wasn't just based around them. There were 3 different parts that they followed throughout the whole film. It's the regular people going to try and save the people.
Oh yeah, that's
the soldiers.
Yeah. Fantastic point.
The people in the air, like fighting off, because they were there fighting off the Germans, trying to stop them from bombing the soldiers that were stranded, and also obviously the soldiers who were stranded on the beach as well. That's something that really, because I feel like it would have been a little bit too much if it just would have been based on the soldiers.
Yeah.
If you see what I mean. But then they picked 2 other perfect points that were people who were obviously affected by the stuff that happened in Dunkirk as well. And the way that they filmed it, as I keep saying, the stuff in the air is really quite amazing how they filmed it and how it all interlinks together. I'm not gonna go too much into it, but please just go see the film. If there's anything that you do this summer while you're on holiday or whatever you're doing, just go and see Dunkirk. It is an absolutely amazing film. As Cam says, go and see it in IMAX. Can you see it in IMAX and then it not be 3D?
Yes.
Because, yeah, just go see it in IMAX. I think 3D would probably ruin it.
I agree.
So, you know, just please go and see the film. And then, if you've seen the film, make sure to let us know your thoughts in the comments. That'd be greatly appreciated, because I love... one thing that I want to bring up, Cam, is, for me, because I've obviously done history, studied history and all of that stuff, I find history very interesting. Do you think they will ever do... I think this is very outside of the box and probably a little bit controversial or whatever, I'm just going to say.
I think I know where you're going here.
Do you think they'd ever do a film based on, like, the Nazis and stuff like that?
Well, they have. There are films out there.
But like just one like massive blockbuster film that comes out that takes the point of the Nazis. I know that there are films, but you never see like...
I know what you mean, like a big, massive film, perhaps about...
following the Nazis' point of view.
Yeah, even the concentration camps. Possibly. I think it would be another great film. I think they should... I think it would be better to do it from the side of the Jewish people type thing, and how their lives were just fucking destroyed, and how horrific it was, showing us just the horrific scenes, as well obviously including the Nazis and their point of view, and what they were saying. Obviously nobody's going to agree with them, but just seeing how barbaric and disgusting and horrible those people were, and putting that in, I think you're right. I think that could be a fantastic film. One point I just want to pick up on from what you said a minute ago. You're absolutely right, and that's what I meant by the British spirit is unbreakable. It wasn't just the soldiers; it was the women in the boat. You know, just doing that simple job of preparing the tea, preparing the blankets, preparing the cups of tea. Did I just say that? I meant to say toast and then tea. But you know, massive, and people just overlook those roles, but they were massively important. And even the roles of, like you say, the boats coming in to try and save and evacuate people from Dunkirk. Normal British people putting their lives on the line to try and save these heroes. They are all heroes, in my opinion. Incredible stuff, incredible film, and it's got a bit of criticism from the SJW community. Fuck them. They criticise everything. They even criticise the new Doctor about being a woman because it wasn't, quote, and this is literally what they are saying, a black transgender woman. Now, how you can be a transgender woman? Like, if you're well, I suppose you can be a transgender woman, but I assume they would want I don't know, do they want a transgender woman? Because then technically they're still, you know, they were a man, so then, anyway, they criticised that, and they also criticised this because, quote, it didn't have black people in and women in lead roles. There's a reason possibly for that. Women weren't soldiers in the war, and where we saw women, they were important and we saw what they did. Yeah. And also, there wasn't that many black soldiers in the war. There were some French black soldiers from memory, but like, I don't get the SJWs. You know, I'm not saying
just enjoy the film.
Sorry, I made a stupid error there, and it would have sounded dumb if I didn't correct myself. There were black soldiers in the war, but there weren't that many in the British Army type thing. So it was a fair, historical, accurate representation, which is what you want. And I swear to God they do this. This is what they must do. They must go to a cinema, right, with a fucking clipboard and go, right, not enough women, not enough black women, no transgender, no gay representation, no... It's just fucking fucked up. Who goes to a film and watches that? Because the only reason I knew is because when I typed in Dunkirk into Twitter to see whether there was a hashtag when I was about to write my response, the first thing that came up was Dunkirk racist. And I was just like, are these people for fucking real? I mean, honest to God, they criticise everything. You can't win with these cuck-headed, cunt-headed, fuckheads, shit-faced cunts. That was completely unnecessary, but the point still stands. What a bunch of retards. Watch the film, realise it's historically accurate, and stop being wet fart, crybaby, socialist twats. Point made, point ended. I mean, seriously, who goes to a film and, you know, ticks off, is there a gay person, is there this, is there fucking that? Jesus Christ. You know, the film's about the sacrifice, not just the British made, the French made, you know, everybody made in the war, you know. Women, you know, even there was a child on there, I know he was 16, so whether you can class him as a child, I don't know, but you know what I mean? The sacrifices everybody made, and there you are, talking about black transgender women. It's just a joke. It really is a fucking joke. The world has gone mad. So anyway, just to bring together our point on Dunkirk, me and Lyle both stressing the same point. Go watch the film. It is that good. Mm-hmm. The hype is real. Watch it in IMAX, and if you can't watch it in IMAX, don't worry, you'll still get the experience, because we did. Make sure you try and book tickets, because if it's half as packed as what it was when we got there, holy crap, then you struggle to find a seat. Admittedly, we did go in late. But yeah, that's my sort of last points on Dunkirk. And yeah, I'm really just so proud to be British after, you know, not after watching that film, because I've always been proud to be British, but I've never been prouder. Lyle, your conclusion, your summary.
Oh, I think the true representation of films like that come very few and far between. But when they do come, they always hit the nail on the head, and you do feel like you're there, and you, as Cam said, you do feel like you are proud, or you are proud to be British, and how they did it so realistically. They didn't cut out none of the bullshit that we got the raw stuff that obviously would have gone on, and as I say, I'd say it's a 9 out of 10, probably the best film that's going to be coming out this summer. if you want to do something with a day, you got a free day, go see that film. It's absolutely incredible. As I say, let us know down in the comments your thoughts about it if you have seen it. But yeah, Dunkirk, very decent film. Let's move on to the next part of the podcast.
Right, so it broke a little bit earlier today, or probably possibly yesterday, I found out that the group called ADL are, not EDL, important difference there, both probably as bad as each other, are going to be helping YouTube in their flagging and censoring of videos. Now, just to give you a little bit of information, the ADL are the ones who classified Pepe the cartoon frog as a racist, white supremacist symbol. They are now monitoring, censoring videos on YouTube. It is unbelievable how this censoring is going on. Videos are being censored. You say anything that YouTube doesn't like, that isn't fucking left-leaning feminist propaganda shit, you're probably going to get censored, demonetized, banned, etc., etc. If YouTube keeps their act up, there will be a time when there will be a competitor that comes out that stands for free speech, that stands for freedom of expression, and it wouldn't surprise me, especially with all the bugs that go on with YouTube, if it became a true competitor of YouTube. And we spoke about competitors with YouTube last week, and the fact there isn't really any. Maybe soon there will be. We'll have to wait and see. The only problem is you have to have a lot of money to create a website capable of doing what it would need to do. That would be the problem. But you just never know, because YouTube keeps censoring. People are going to look for elsewhere to upload their videos, and they already are. And yeah, I mean, YouTube has legally every right, I suppose, to censor, because it's their own company, can do what they want. But they want to be careful, because if people leave and they find a new platform and a new platform arrives, YouTube might not be the force and have the monopoly on the market that it currently does have. So just an interesting point that I wanted to bring up.
So, to start off this little subtopic, it's probably going to be quite a long topic. It's based around the end of the world, and basically how different things could end the world. The first thing that I want to start with is actually volcanoes or super volcanoes. Now, there's obviously many volcanoes about, but if I remember correctly, there is one volcano which is called Yellowstone, I believe, and if I remember, it's in the US. It's had a very violent past or whatever. It hasn't erupted for over 600,000 years. If that volcano, or volcanoes similar to that, if those types of volcanoes, super volcanoes, ended up erupting, they would inevitably basically just extinguish the whole world, or most of the world, and make places inhabitable. It's the ash and the smoke and the fumes that come out from the volcano that pretty much ends the world, basically. And so we could literally be sat here right now, a volcano could erupt, and then, the same day there would be pretty much nobody left on the earth. And there's... Go on.
That would annoy me. Like, if that would annoy me, the end of the world would annoy me. If the world's going to end, I want it to at least be a couple of days. A couple day thing. We see it on Sky News. We can watch the news. Everyone's kind of excited but not excited. You know what I mean? I want it to be like a massissive thing. I don't just want it to be like all of a sudden.
So you're like Yumi and the Apocalypse. Have you watched that series?
No.
Basically, there's we'll go on to the next point that comes in quite well. Asteroids wiping us out. There are miles and miles and miles. Like, there's some asteroids out there that they always pass close to the Earth, and we've obviously there was one last year. I'll try and put some video clips on the screen for you guys so you can see what we're on about. There was an asteroid that came in to the basically that exploded or hit the Earth in Russia. I don't know if you've seen the clips of those, clip. And Yumi and the Apocalypse was basically how an asteroid was going to hit the Earth, and couple day thing or week thing or whatever, and it sort of ends up with the asteroid hitting the Earth and that. So that's what you'd want. You'd want, say, like an asteroid hitting the Earth and wiping us all out, because there's some asteroids that are literally miles long. I'd want something
exciting. like that, because then it could be like, oh, are we going to be able to stop it? Are we not going to be able to stop it? Oh, I could make a YouTube video on it. I just want it. I want it to be fun. You know, I would want it to be fun. I wouldn't just want it to be just, that's it, game over. You know, a nuclear war. You know, that one's an intriguing prospect. You know, hiding underground and stuff like that. But I mean, if it was a nuclear war, I think unless you're like an elite, unless you're a politician, somebody who, you know, we're all fucked, really.
Yeah.
People think we're edging closer to a nuclear war. People say, oh, North Korea could do something. I tell you this right now. If North Korea so much as launched anything towards the United States, North Korea would be gone as quick as this. Gone. Done. See you later, Ali friggin' Gator. Within a minute, Kim Jong-un and his fat family would be gone. North Korea would be gone. And I know there would be innocent people that lost lives. Not everyone in North Korea is awful, but many of them are so brainwashed that I don't think some of them would be worth saving. That ain't what I meant. But basically, I think if they were saved, I think they'd be so brainwashed. I don't think you'd ever get them out of that kind of brainwashed zone. So, but yeah, I wouldn't worry about North Korea because the US could just wipe them out in a fucking instant. But nuclear war's like, you know, the predictable option, isn't it? How's the world going to end? Nuclear war. You know, it's just a bit boring.
Going off of that, if say for example, I don't know, the United States and Russia, I don't know, were to have a nuclear war, say, you know, the next war, World War III, that would be the war that would wipe out the world. Now, there's an Einstein quote that says, after World War III, it's something like, after World War III, the next war will be fought with sticks and stones, right? And do you think there has been just loads of, like, repeats and do-overs of the world? Do you think we've gotten to a certain point, then a nuclear war has happened, wipes out the whole world, and then we have to go back to the start with sticks and stones? They go on about, like, the Flintstones is based around, you know, what are they called? Cavemen and people like that. But they know how to make cars out of rocks, TVs. But how do they know how to do that if, you know, say it's happened, like the world has had a nuclear war or something has happened and we've been wiped out to almost the point of extinction, to go back to the start and build our way back up again until it happens again? It's sort of like a repeating thing. I know that you could say, why hasn't it been documented? Because we'd know about it. But I just thought that's an interesting point to bring up, and how if we do have a nuclear war, we'd go back to the start and the survivors would have to start all over again.
I'll tell you how the Flintstones know how to do all that. It's because it's a fictional... No, but on a serious note, I think that's a good point. I don't necessarily think it's happened before. Could it happen? Yeah, possibly, actually. But, like, people always say about Russia, US, you just did it. I just can't see. It doesn't make any sense. He's suicidal. Like, you wouldn't do it. It doesn't make any sense. The US and Russia, yeah, they hate each other, but not to the point where they're willing to just basically sacrifice everything just for It's not. I just don't think it's feasible. I can't see it happening. If it did happen, hypothetically, obviously we'd be fucked because we'd get involved because, you know, we'd get involved to help the US and it would just be a disaster.
Yeah.
So, you know, hypothetically, yes, that could end the world. But Russia's not that retarded. The US aren't that retarded. Putin and Trump certainly are a little better, have a little bit of a better relationship than Obama and Russia. Obama and Russia, that was a little bit sticky to the point where you thought, oh, something could happen here. Not necessarily World War III. Clinton could have provided World War III, because if she wanted a no-fly zone over Syria, which basically means anything that flies over Syria, over the air zone, the US under her would have shot down. Russian planes do fly over. So, if she'd have either had to have gone against her policy, or she'd have shot down a Russian plane. Now, if she'd have shot down a Russian plane, then you're starting to get into the realms of a possible World War III.
Yeah.
But we avoided Clinton and the Clintons. Praise the Lord, there is a God. And yeah, so I'm not worried about Russia, not nearly as much as I would have been if fucking Clinton would have got in and brought in that policy. So, look, nuclear is obviously, when there are nuclear weapons, there's a possibility that it could end it. I'll ask you this question, Lyle. Do you think nuclear weapons make the world safer or less safer?
Do I think nuclear... I don't think... Does it really make a difference? Because as you say, because everybody... There's loads of countries that have got nuclear weapons now. And as you say, if one country fires a nuke at another, they'll be gone in like a minute. So, does it really matter? I mean, I think it definitely, it's got to make it more safer, because say if there was only one country that had nuclear weapons, and the rest didn't, everybody would be at a disadvantage. And so if you've got that sort of nuclear weapons,
obviously there are a lot of countries that don't have nuclear arsenal.
But there's a lot more that do now than did.
Yeah, there's not a lot more countries that do. A lot more countries don't have nuclear weapons. I think it makes it safer because obviously it's a deterrent.
Yeah.
Now, let's take out nuclear weapons, for example, right?
Yeah.
Let's say none of them existed. You would have little disagreements that we see between, say, Russia and the US and China and the US and North Korea and South Korea. They would end up being big wars.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas now they're not big wars. Because why are they not big wars? Because if you start something, it could turn into a nuclear one. So it's that deterrent and stopping you from, having like millions of friggin' wars. And people go, oh, obviously a nuclear war would be completely deadly. But other wars are deadly too. And the fact that it's stopping these other wars, I think means that it does good. I do think the one thing we've got to try and stop is the Middle East getting a lot of nuclear weapons. I know places like Iran have nuclear weapons now. One of the best things Obama did, not. So that's slightly worrying. But I do think it is a good deterrent. And, like when Corbyn's ultimate fucking, aim is to disarm. We don't want an army. We don't want a fucking nuclear weapon. He refused to say if we were under nuclear attack that he'd defend the country by pushing the button. He refused to fucking say that in the election. Fuck knows how he did. Well, he still lost, but he did better than people thought. I don't know how, but probably the socialist cucks. Anyway, essentially what I'm trying to get to is the fact that no other look, if little old Britain, right, and we are a powerful country, don't get me wrong, but if we just, sold all our nuclear weapons, disarmed, not disarmed, but I don't know what the fucking word is, didn't renew Trident type thing, and just kind of ended it all. Do people like Corbyn and who believe in it genuinely believe the US, Russia, countries like that are actually going to do the same?
No.
So then it puts us in a terribly, terribly weak position. It puts us with a fucking target on us to say, big country like Britain, give it a go. We can't defend. It's just crazy, batshit crazy. It really friggin' is.
Wasn't it very similar that happened in one of like the conferences, like the Yalta conference or whatever? Wasn't it like Hitler said that he'd disarm, but then the others didn't. So then he stormed out, and then
Well, no, I mean the funny thing about World War II, it's not funny at all because the amount of people died, but we were I'm not saying Britain were retarded, but all the countries against Germany were so retarded, letting Hitler do what he did, and just basically believing that, if you just let me take over here, then I'll stop. If you just let me take over this one...
that Chamberlain, wasn't it?
It's just utter
Neville
fucking
Chamberlain?
retard land that they were in. And I know hindsight is, a great thing, but it was... I don't know, perhaps it is because it's hindsight. It was so obvious that he was never going to stop. It was so obvious that he was just... And that's why I think people are wary now. Like, they don't like people like Kim Jong. They're not just going to go... They're not going to go, he's not going to do that, because we know... Only have to look back in recent history. World War I, World War II, recent history. We're going to have to look back there and see, well, we know what happened last time when we said, we'll just give him that and he won't do much more. It didn't end well. So I think we're wary of that. We don't want history to repeat itself. It has a roundabout way of repeating itself. I think, you look at Hiroshima and how deadly that nuclear weapon was.
Yeah.
When people go, oh, there's not nuclear weapons that could end the world. Look at Hiroshima. Look at that bomb only 80 years ago.
Hiroshima and Nagasaki, wasn't it?
And Nagasaki.
Yeah.
Look how horrifically damaging that was. That was 80 odd years ago, however long it was ago. I can't do maths. Just think now how deadly they must fucking be. Like, holy fucking shit.
The scale of what they are at now is absolutely... It's mind-blowing.
One thing I want to bring up on the end of the world, we're on the end of the world. Everybody talks about the zombie apocalypse. And people think, it's just, for the horror movies, etc. There are scientists who genuinely believe it's possible. Like, they genuinely believe that something like this could happen. And you made a good point before the podcast, and I'll let you talk about it. But it's not necessarily zombies, but you could have zombie-like people that are alive type thing. They haven't died, that are acting like zombies trying to eat people, like has happened, but that could happen en masse. I don't know. Like, I know a lot of people sit and they're really excited. They want the zombie apocalypse. They can't wait. They're prepared for it. They want it to happen. I don't think it would be as exciting as it looks on the big screen. I personally. But it's interesting. That would be one incredible way to end the world. Like, don't know what you think, Lyle.
Maybe if... So let's just say one day there's these people who like to take the drugs, right? There's one drug that just somebody, maybe he mixes some stuff. He takes the drug, he turns into that, I don't know what they turn into, just these zombie-like people, and he can never come out of that. And he's obviously then, his mindset is to, I don't know, eat people, and he can then infect people. Then it started. All it takes is just something as silly as that for it to happen, and I think it's very close. It's definitely a feasible way for the world to end because of just the amount of stuff that you see in the news of people just turning it. There was I don't want to make it grim or anything or like that. I'm not really into that type of stuff, but however many years ago, it was once again this guy who I might be wrong on some of these facts, so don't take what I say for permanent. There's this guy that was on drugs, turned into sort of like the zombie type that they do when they're high on the drug, and then he literally started eating a homeless man that was on just the side of the street, and it's absolutely crazy what these types of drugs can do to people, and they literally just turned into freaking cannibals. I think they shot him there and then. Well, it would be stupid if they didn't, but go on.
Well, they wouldn't. If it was in this country, they wouldn't shoot you. They'd fucking just let you do it. Anyway, Ebola just shows how quickly a virus can spread. I do think the media they'd like to make out that we're all one step from death. We're all going to get cancer, we're all going to get this, we're all going to get everything. And, oh God, the world's going to end, there's a nuclear war. The media do love to exaggerate everything. I don't think we're as close to extinction as scientists would make out. I think a lot of it's bullshit. But, I do find this topic funny. It is fun. I'm sorry, I'm not going to lie, I do find it funny. And there is kind of a, I don't know, I don't fear the end of the world because I know that it would be the end for kind of everybody, if you know what I mean. So we'd all be in it together. So I'm not going to stop singing at high school, but we would. So I do find the topic funny. It's entertaining to kind of talk about different ways and, ask the hilarious question of, if the world was going to end, what would be your dream way? What would be your dream scenario of the world to end? So I do enjoy this topic, and obviously I don't want the world to end. Although some days I think it's probably a good prospect, especially when Chelsea lose. If Chelsea lose, I want the world to end. It can all be over. I'll ask you that question, Lyle. Dream way. End of the world. What is your dream? If you had the power to choose how the world ends, how would you do it? Would you want it quick, short, nobody knows? Would you want it prolonged thing? Would you want it zombie? Would you want it what? How are you going to end the world?
Wouldn't you just want, I don't know, one of the massive gas giants just coming and eating the planets, and as it comes, it just eats the Earth? I think that would be a
Fucking-
really cool way.
Fuck me, that's a bit fucked up.
No, but
You know, I was just thinking of Susan going down, to the groceries and starting, a little fire, and it ends up.
no, but
Jesus
Jupiter.
Christ.
You know the red spot on Jupiter?
Yeah.
It's literally the size of the Earth. That is the Earth. That's how big it is. I honestly can't get over how big the gas giants actually are. And they
I
do
think
say,
how
don't they?
insignificant we are as well, like how
Yeah.
small and insignificant we are.
And how, it would just be coming and eating all of the other planets, and then it would eat the Earth.
Question is, right, if God is real, and we're not going to get into the whole God debate, we could do that. That could be another podcast topic. If God is real, if the end of the world was upon us, do you think he'd try and stop it?
Because that's his creation, isn't it? Would he try and stop it?
Or do you think he'd just go, oh, fuck it, these useless twats, they'll come to heaven
He
anyway,
could.
the nice ones.
He could, honestly. What has my world come to?
Yeah.
And then he could be like, maybe it's a good time to, or see you later. Or he could be like, no, that asteroid's not going to hit it. No, that volcano's not going to erupt.
Maybe that's why the asteroids haven't hit. They get so close, and some people say, I don't know how they haven't hit. Maybe it's God sort of
Maybe
fucking telling them to fuck off type thing. I think what an exciting way, I'm going to ask my own question, would be like an alien invasion
Oh, that would be cool.
of all,
That's a whole different topic.
of like unbelievable proportions. And like, not everyone would have to die. Like, some we would turn into slaves. Oh, it'd be great. Well, I mean, it wouldn't be great if I was there, but I just think that would be an exciting way. But yeah, I wonder what batshit crazy ideas people have got for the end of the world. I've read some pretty crazy shit, but yeah, it's an interesting topic, isn't it? It's a bit depressing.
There's one that they go on about the robots. Say Terminator, for example, these killer robots. They have them. They do have these types of robots, and just imagine robots taking over the world.
They do say that the robots might, if they can gain sort of self-awareness, they might want to take over the world. And again, this is another example of the media exaggerating everything. The world, global warming is a hoax. Global warming is going to end the world, apparently. Even though they can't tell us, whether we can put our washing out. The robots are going to take over, even though robots can't even the robots can't even walk properly yet, folks. And they're trying to tell us that in 40 years the robots are going to take over the world. Get a grip. They might take over a few of our jobs, and we might have to change we might have to have when we had the Industrial Revolution, we might have to have another revolution to kind of create new jobs. But I can confirm exclusively the world is not going to end by robots, certainly not for many, 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 many years to come. Because the robots, quite frankly, now are still very, very, very fucking incapable of doing most things. So I'm not concerned about the robots. If you look at some of the best robots, they go, look at this incredible robot, and you look at it, they can't even walk. It picks up something, it drops it. I'm sorry, I'm not buying it. I'm not friggin' buying it.
I'm gonna say something. I'm coming up with all of these like dark stuff right now.
You are.
Do you think? Say I don't know, we're terrorists, right? Do you think they could potentially have big enough suicide bombs, potentially, or have a few people in different countries and then they all go off at once, and then they'd end the world?
I don't think they could end the world, but they could bring countries to a standstill. There's about the authorities think there's about 3,000 jihad fighters in this country. 55,000 people who subscribe to ISIS's yearly magazine. 250,000 who sympathise with terrorist attacks in the UK alone. Let's just take the jihad fighters, okay? 3,000 of them. Let's just say that for every day, one of them gets a suicide bomb and, sets it off somewhere. We would be under attack for the next 8 years straight. I think it's 8 years. 8 years straight. Under attack. Attack after attack after attack after attack. It would be in London. It would be in Manchester, Bristol, Norwich, little villages. It would be a war zone. So they could bring a country to its standstill. And that is why I stress the point to people where people go, oh, they don't kill that many people, blah, blah. Any loss of life is enough for it to be despicable and disgusting. And the amount that are here, and the amount of stuff that goes on, and it's not just the killings, it's the sexual assaults, the rapings, the no-go zones, etc. The stuff that goes on that isn't even reported in the media is shocking, and we are truly under attack. And if they did decide to do an attack every day, they could do it for the next 3,000 days. Just imagine it. Just friggin' imagine it. And as I say, it would pop up here, there, and friggin' everywhere. Where we think now, oh, we're okay in little old Norfolk. How many times do you hear people say that? We're okay. It wouldn't happen in Thetford, even though Thetford's like literally the capital of the world. You don't get an Englishman in Thetford anyway. Literally, it would bring the end to this country. We'd be under war, be attack after attack, Thetford, Attleborough, villages, schools. It would be a joke. Everybody would be scared shitless. It would be a disaster. And it could happen. And there are authorities there. There are enough people here for that to happen, and it would just be carnage. Because then you start getting retaliation attacks, and it would be a war zone. There'd be tanks on we nearly got that. We nearly got that. After the recent London attack, after the recent Manchester attack, there were soldiers on the streets, and I don't have a problem with that. I think that's good. But we would have tanks on the streets. That would be a regular thing. I mean, it's a regular thing already in Brussels. In Germany, it's pretty much every other day. Every week, there's 2-3 things that happen. There was a stabbing the other day. There was a killing of a police officer the other day. It is happening. Europe is under attack. And the idiots who are so blind and damn delusional not to see it will bring the end to Western civilization. We are at war. It is a threat. And you only have to read facts and statistics and real life, real true things. Go to these Muslim no-go zones to see what is happening. It is horrific. The fact we have let 3,000 odd jihad fighters back into the country is truly shocking. The fact that the authorities, MI5, etc., say they would like to monitor 20,000 people just shows you the sheer scale of this. This is not a small friggin', massive, small majority of a couple, 10 so people that people think it is. This is huge. The cell alone from the Manchester attack shows you just that. The fact that in some mosques they are handing out, hateful things that basically encourage you to become an ISIS fighter on their open days is seriously worrying. We need help from the Muslim community. We need help from those that are seeking for reform in Islam. We need to help them along on their journey. We need to reform it, and we need to kick the hell out these jihad fighters, because if they wanted to, they could quite simply bring Europe to a standstill. And at times, Europe is, at a standstill. Germany's a disaster. France is a disaster. Britain's getting that way, and it is really, really sad and shocking. So, back to your original point. Can it end the world? I don't know, Lyle. I really don't. But it wouldn't necessarily end the world, because they'd be alright in their countries, but it could end Western civilization.
Yeah.
Hell friggin' yeah. And I'm sorry that's depressing, but people need to know the reality, because so many people are just so brainwashed. They just don't seem to understand what's going on, and it's a serious threat. It is a serious threat. You look back, Nazis were a massive threat only a few hundred years ago. This is the new threat. This is the new evil. And we need to accept it, and we need to start fighting it. And at the moment, we're not. Letting 3,000 back into it's just crazy, crazy, crazy shit. 250,000 that support, that are happy about the terrorist attacks, that cheer the terrorist attacks. 250,000 that admit to cheering it. It is truly friggin' shocking. And things need to change. And just because there isn't a terrorist attack and hasn't been one for a few sort of weeks, it's not really been a few months, it's been a few weeks, should not mean that this is not serious. Look round Europe, folks. Open your friggin' eyes to reality.
I'm going to end it on a little bit of it's not a happier note, but it's a little bit more of a positive
light-hearted note.
Light-hearted note on how the world also could end. Well, it's not really. But I want to go on about gamma ray bursts. Now, a gamma ray burst happens when a supernova explodes, and it unleashes a massive gamma ray. Now,
hang on, before you go on, supernova is that a star? I'm right in saying it, aren't I?
Yes.
Right, sorry, I was just being a bit retarded, and I didn't want to sort of not understand what you're talking about. Go on.
Now, if a star obviously explodes, supernova happens, unleashes massive gamma ray. For this, most of these happen, but they're too far away from the Earth. But if one was to happen and it was 30 light years away from our sun, which is pretty close to us on a cosmic scale, it would be disastrous. The gamma ray would explode through our atmosphere, and there would be like literally worldwide fires, and it would end the Earth, basically killing off the species in a matter of months.
That was a really light-hearted note. I'm going to be honest. You know, that really has brought up everybody's mood. Listen to this podcast. An incredible way to end this podcast. One thing I want to say is I don't understand what a light year is. I work in miles and meters. Can somebody tell me what a light year is in miles? You know, how many times is it back from Norwich? You know, a couple of times back from Norwich, 3-4 times back. How many times back from Norwich? I don't understand it. Anyway,
the one thing that I would say,
I've certainly enjoyed it. Sorry, you go on, Lyle.
Is if a gamma ray burst was to hit the Earth, we would literally not know about it.
Oh, damn it. That can't happen. Sorry, that ain't happening.
We wouldn't know about it. We would all be dead in an instant.
Well, this has been... I'm not going to end the podcast now because it's your turn to do this, but what an incredible... I think it's been an enjoyable podcast. I've really enjoyed this one. We spoke about Dunkirk. We spoke about a lot of things. Leave topics down in the comments below. Again, I'm not going to do what Lars' thing is, but there was a point I wanted to mention. Next podcast, I want to bring up stuff a little bit like what I was saying there. How literally nothing makes any sense. And I'll leave it at that. All I'll say is time. How does it make sense? Start and an end. If there was a start, what was there before?
Yeah.
So we're going to bring that up next podcast. That'll be one of the topics. But today's topics, I suppose the main ones have been Dunkirk and the end of the world. That might get some views, Lyle. I don't know. I daren't say it because you just...
Hell, Cam, you're coming out the boat there.
I don't want to say, you know, I don't want to jinx it, but it could get, you know, it could get a few
if you clickbait it right.
Exactly. We've got to clickbait this video. Absolutely. We've got to clickbait it. Huge. It's got to be huge. But yeah, Lyle, I'll let you end the video. Just want to say again, back to a little bit briefly on what I said at the start of the podcast. Thank you to all the support for people. This could have been a week where I ended my YouTube, but thanks to you, it ain't. So thank you very much. I've enjoyed the podcast. Over to you, Lyle, to sign things off. Follow us on my social medias as well. Anyway, go on, Lyle.
Social medias are on the screen. But yes, guys, if you have enjoyed this podcast, make sure to drop a like. And yeah, I think this has been a very enjoyable podcast for me to speak about. I don't know what the viewing experience is going to be like. I'll find out when it's going to be, when I'm editing it. I should imagine this will be a really hard one to edit. But hopefully it hasn't been too all over the place. Thank you to everyone.
It could be a hard one to follow, couldn't it? That's the only thing. But, you know, it is what it is at the end of the day, you know.
Thank you to everyone that did comment on the last video. If you have anything that you would like to just mention in the comments, any thoughts or feelings that you have about what we've spoken about today, about the end of the world, if you've watched Dunkirk, let us know your thoughts on everything that we've spoken about today. As Cam says, the next podcast will be about how basically nothing makes sense in the world and as we know it, but yeah, I'm going to try and get this done for Friday because we're recording this on Wednesday. It's my fault, but yeah, thank you very much for watching it, guys. So yeah, we will see you in the next podcast, which will be next Friday. See you later, guys.